What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 39 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, as I am back home, no longer in the city of Ottawa, and watching this one from the comfort of my own couch as the Maple Leafs defeat the New York Islanders here tonight 2-1 to move to 24-13-2 on the season. Another game without Auston Matthews, another win without Auston Matthews, and this team just continues to find a way. It doesn't matter who's in, it doesn't matter who's in net, it doesn't matter who's sick, it does not matter. This team continues to find ways. In a weird season where you get a new coach, you start playing a new style, and we watch all these games, we come here to the show after and say, tough game, but you found a way. Bad game, but you found a way. I tweeted out the other night, I was making a joke that I was watching all the blueprints, and I was hearing Craig Berube saying in every one of these, I said, if you took a shot for every blueprint that you watched, and Craig Berube said, we didn't play our best tonight, you might not be able to wake up in the morning. And yet this is a season you've pushed your way to 24-13-2, an even better record than you had at this point last year. A lot of that would have to do with goaltending and defense, which is a big thing that we will discuss here tonight on the show. As we continue to break down tonight's game, as we get all the way through what happened with the offense here, the way that this team was able to pull out this win. We'll talk about Joseph Woll and why he was such a big factor in the first period to allow this team or give this team an opportunity for this win here tonight as well. This is a presentation of Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Not only is tonight a presentation of Bet365, if you guys are new here to the channel, then this will be a pretty cool thing for you to find out. But for those of you who have been here before, who are returning to the stream, you've watched Morning Take, and you're catching After Dark here for the first time ever. This is something we have got to do this season. It is the first time ever we're doing this. We have a Super Chat charity partner, and our Super Chat charity partner will be none other than Sick Kids. It is a very cool initiative that we're doing here. A Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. You want to make sure your question or comment gets on the show, hit us with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, Canada's first children's hospital and a top research-intensive children's hospital in Canada, and third in the world. You guys are wondering how to buy a Super Chat there. Click the $ within a live chat. The live chat must be visible. You select one of the following: sticker or a Super Chat. You select an amount, drag the slider, or type your desired amount that you want, and then click buy and send. We will read all the Super Chats here on the show, as well as playing the Sick Kids Super Chat animation. Obviously, no one has to do that, but if you do, remember, these go to proceeds go to Sick Kids. It goes to an amazing cause there. We'll break down tonight's game as well. Obviously, I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys. The reason I started a little bit late, I was watching the end of the Canada game. It came like a minute and a half, 2 minutes after the end of the Leafs game, so I just sat there and watched. I wanted to know what happened, and unfortunately, it went the wrong way for us as Canadian fans. I know there's probably a lot of you guys who are in the chat who may not be from Canada or may not be Canadian hockey fans, but for those of you that are, yeah, tough ending for the Canadian team. Obviously, there, lose 4-3. You tied that thing up, and then in the final minutes of the game, take a penalty, and on a penalty kill, give up the game winner. 6 1/3 World Junior Championship. Who cares? I mean, most people, a lot of people in Canada care, including myself. Come on, relax. And Easton Cowan, yes, he was a massive topic of discussion throughout the course of the tournament. We do have our first Super Chat of the night here, so let's get to the Super Chat, and then we'll continue on and break down everything that happened for this Maple Leafs team here tonight. Let's start with the first Super Chat. Super chat from Mike Fami. Mike, thank you very much. Mike says, that was a sloppy hockey game with a laughing face. Yeah, I mean it was a interesting hockey game to say the least. I kind of anticipated that we were gonna get like a little muck and grind kind of game, just a way to get through uh, just get through this one. It's the first one after the new year. You just played the Islanders the other day, and what was another slower game. I went back and kind of watched some of the highlights, kind of saw some of the recaps of everything that happened for the Leafs in the last game against the Islanders. It's also one of those weird situations where like it's not very common anymore that you play against the same team twice. In what like this is kind of a back to back. Obviously, it wasn't the next day, but like you did a home and home here with the Islanders, played them on Tuesday, play them here on Thursday. You get a little bit familiar with the guys, you get a little bit more familiar with goaltending, coaching, whatever it may be, and even just in a short span there. But my biggest takeaway from this one was you started off 2025 on the right foot. This is an Islanders team that feels like traditionally has kind of I feel like the vibe we got as Leafs fans is that they've kind of just being owned by the Islanders. Every time the Leafs are going to play against them, I feel uncomfortable as a fan because it's like you want them to do it for Johnny T. You want them to step up. You're going into New York. You want the team to kind of elevate their play, maybe get a win on the board for him. You also get the factor of Lane Lambert here tonight, who was a coach for the Islanders and is now your penalty killing coach. You want all those things, but the Leafs are a team that have often left us short of what we were hoping for, and how you kind of feel like they're going to, maybe deliver on some of these big moments or big kind of spots where it's like, let's get this for this guy. And you've now won back-to-back against the Islanders. I don't care where they are in the standings. I don't care how they've been playing this season. This is one of those ones where you found a way to get it done in what was a gross, sloppy, kind of greasy game here. You had to muck and grind your way through it. You got good goaltending. Your defense was pretty decent. You look over at kind of some of the expected goals and chances generated. You did give up a bunch of chances to the Islanders. They did get 3.97 expected goals. But that said, you can rely on your goaltending, and it kind of tapered down after the first period for me, in my opinion. It felt like they were able to kind of clean things up from some of the major chances the Islanders had early on. In the second period, there was basically like a 7-minute flurry by the Islanders that generated a ton of opportunities there as well, a ton of high danger chances. And then outside of that, it was relatively back to business as usual. Shut things down. Let's get out of here with the win. And it is this third line again, a line that I have talked about over and over and over again since Bobby McMann and Max Domi returned from injury, who find ways to capitalize here tonight. Obviously, the second Bobby McMann goal is kind of coming at the tail end of the power play there. But that being said, it is the guys on that line who are making things happen. It is the guys on that line who are finishing checks, are hard on the forecheck, are tough to deal with down below the circles. Like, those are the guys who are doing the little things right now. And when you want to talk about, are you getting depth scoring? Are you getting contributions from your bottom six? Right now, the answer is yes, you are. And a lot of it is coming off the stick of Bobby McMann, who has been a driving force for this Maple Leafs bottom six since his return. The very first game Bobby McMann returned to action, he was all over it. He was creating chances. He was going to the front of the net. He was hitting everything. He was generating a ton of shots. Like, not even just creating chances. That's great. He was putting a lot of pucks on net, which is something, I've watched this third line all season long, and it's felt like there have been times where they are timid. They don't have the confidence in themselves to shoot the puck, to be kind of creating these opportunities, and it sets you back. And Bobby McMann came in here and was like, I'm a guy who can score goals. I'm a guy, before the injury, I was playing in the top six. I can play with top talent. I can create opportunities. I am not a passenger. Watch me play, because I will drive this line. And since he's done that, since he's stepped up and been playing this style of hockey, he's been driving play. And he has really, really propped up Max Domi and Nick Robertson. Bobby McMahon's play as of late has been nothing to scoff at. And the only thing I will say to Leafs fans here is let's not go out of our way and go nuts and say, oh, Bobby McMahon, we got to get him in the top 6. Matthew Knies got to come out. Hasn't been producing, get him out. We need depth scoring, do we not, Leafs fans? Like, do we not? I understand promoting guys and rewarding them for playing well. You have a line that's working. Why would we fuck with that? Like I saw somebody in the chat earlier saying like, oh, like put him up, take Knies off. I've seen people tweeting this stuff at us. No, don't mess with a good thing. You finally have a chance here with the third line who can create stuff, who works well together, and kind of has a bit of an identity. Like they kind of have this identity of being hard to deal with, being a nuisance, finishing checks, being tough on the forecheck, winning battles. I love that these guys are working well right now. I think it is awesome for this team long term. Do not break them up. This is where he's excelling. And this is what's making his line mates excel. Look at some of the opportunities that we saw when they moved some of these guys around over the little period of time where Matthews came back and was out, and then guys are sick and they're bumping people in and out. We saw that line and those guys kind of cool off. They play really, really, really well together. Let's not mess with it. Like, just leave that chemistry together. Bobby McMahon here tonight. Like, you want to talk about the goal that was scored by McMahon. It is not just Bobby McMahon being really good and just firing past the goaltender. Whoa, you got lucky. And Bobby McMahon, thank God for him. It's Nick Robertson rushing to the corner. It's following after Max Domi goes into the corner and reverse checks the Islanders guy. Nick Robertson goes to the corner, wins the race to the puck. Not afraid of a defenseman coming in after him. Gets that puck, starts curling back up ice. As he comes across the middle area, Bobby McMahon is coming in off the bench and he hits him, who then buries short side. Like, these are just good plays. It's not luck that this stuff is happening. Yes, there are elements of luck where a puck may bounce your way or a goaltender maybe doesn't get across in time or whatever it may be. But you are making your own luck right now. And with this third line, you can say all you want about them being lucky or whatever it may be for these chances to be coming. They are creating this, in my opinion. They are making these things happen. The third line has been excellent. Excellent. This is a line you've got to keep together. This is a line you have to keep together. They have been so good lately. So good. So good. 6 1/3. Someone said something anti-Knies and Zach is getting emotional. I mean, we're talking about how the lines play together, and people want to get all horny about moving people around because, someone's playing well for a little while. Maybe we just have to have a realization that, hey, this is the way we're going to maximize the players, maximize the output of the players we have in this lineup. Maybe this is the best way for us to generate opportunities and be able to score with these guys and create chances in our bottom 6 and get the most out of our depth. Putting these guys together might just be the thing that launches you into a playoff series where you go, oh shit, we finally have a third line like the HBK line, Hagelin, Bonino, and Kessel, that can go out there, wreak havoc, be hard on the forecheck, block shots, and score you goals here and there. Like, Phil Kessel, that one playoff series for the Pittsburgh Penguins, was arguably the Conn Smythe favorite. Like, arguably the MVP there. Obviously, it's like it makes sense. Okay, he doesn't win it. That's okay. I don't think anyone's going to be up in arms about it. But when you look back on that series where the HBK line was the best, like one of the best lines in the entire playoffs, it's Phil Kessel who's spearheading that because he's finding ways to score, and it's the contributions of the other guys. That is an amazing third line that you just got to rely on defensively, and you now can look at them and say, hey, they are a threat offensively as well. Kudos to that third line for how they created opportunities here tonight and how they've continued to kind of build off of this consistency. This has been the biggest knock on any of these guys over, the course of their careers here in Toronto, I would say, or maybe even for Domi, the course of his entire career. And yet here you go, you've got him finding ways to kind of stay consistent, make an impact night after night playing on that line. That's kind of it's kind of where I was at with that line. And third line, I wanted to give them a shout out. We'll go another positive here before kind of some of the stuff that we got to nitpick a little bit about this lineup and how things transpired. Another positive here tonight would obviously be Joseph Woll. 32 saves on 33 shots against, a .970 save percentage for Joseph Woll. It's not just the save percentage and the shots against, it was the chances created. Watching that first period, the Isles came out and they had a bunch of opportunities that Joseph Woll had to make some actual significant saves on, that if it's not for him and it's not for him being super sharp, you might not get out of that one tied 0-0. Like, that might be a first period you walk away from down 1-2-0, 3-0 if things maybe don't go your way. If Ilya Samsonov is your goaltender, if Matt Murray is your goaltender. But Joseph Woll was out of his mind here tonight and played an incredible game. So all the credit in the world to Joseph Woll for carrying them through that first period, because if it's not for his play, I don't think this score is what it is after 20 minutes. Then it's to the second period, which I briefly touched on there. There is a period of time from about 30 minutes into the game, so 10 minutes into the second period, till about 37 minutes, 38 minutes into the game, where it was all Isles all the time effectively. Like, there were just chance after chance after chance after chance that were created by them, and Joseph Woll basically at that point just not allowing anything. Obviously, it comes to the one goal that was scored by the Islanders there to tie things up by Mayfield, which we will discuss in a moment about what happened defensively for the team on that goal. But if it's not for Joseph Woll, this thing could have been a very different game early. And then it could have been a different game in the second period there. And when Bobby McMahon scores the goal to take the lead, there were Islanders chances basically immediately after. And then it just kind of continued to go. Obviously, it ends up with later in the second period there, they score to tie it. But outside of that, a minute 45 left in the second. Outside of that, that thing could have quickly been momentum taken away from the Leafs and gone back the other way. So kudos to Joseph Woll for his level of play here tonight as well. Let's talk about some of the negative, and we're going to get people in the chat. Six is going to get all upset because there was a win tonight. Why are we talking about upsets? Why are we talking about things that weren't that great? Why are we talking about... Let's start with this. Other than the Bobby McMahon goal, the power play stinks still. I asked Nick about it on the show on Tuesday, and Nick and Vic about it. We talked about that in the Christmas special. We've talked about this over and over and over again on the After Dark, on the Morning Take show. It doesn't matter what show it is here. If it's on the Leafs Nation right now, a topic of discussion has consistently been the fact that this power play is fucking atrocious. They are not dangerous. They look lackadaisical. Nylander did not look good here tonight. He really stood out as a guy who was just kind of a passenger on the power play. The one thing that I kind of at least think when I watch William Nylander is when he has a game like this, okay, the next one probably won't be so bad. Maybe the next game he's going to jump back, because Nylander doesn't seem to be a guy who allows himself to carry these over game after game after game. But I'm watching, and I mean, I'm not one, I don't want to be sitting here on this show, on this channel, calling for a guy's head. 6 1/3, we scored on the power play. That's great. Watch the fucking power plays. The power plays are not generating anything. The power plays is 2 minutes of a waste of goddamn time. Like, it is pass around the perimeter, and nothing is going on. There is a shot here or there, which is the one good thing that happened on that second unit going out and Bobby McMahon scoring, was that it was Ekman Larson who shot the puck from the point, and then Finally, as that happens, it's McMahon who scores. The game winner, LOL. Watch the fucking game then, not just the box score after the fact to figure it out, because the power play is not generating. The power play needs to figure itself out here, because if you limp into the playoffs with a power play this atrocious, then you are fucked. This team, every year they get to the playoffs, they cannot figure out the power play, and it kills them. It's so hard to score at even strength. It's so hard to score at 5-on-5, and then they go to the power play, an opportunity for you to basically dominate the zone for effectively up to 2 minutes, and they just stand there and pass it around, and nothing dangerous happens, almost to the point where you then are just flipping and handing momentum back over to the other team, because especially in the playoffs, teams, benches, and fan bases get on their feet and get really excited for penalty kills and having success on the penalty kill. The Leafs just cannot figure out a way to do it in the playoffs, and people are delusional if you're sitting here saying this will just figure itself out, because this is an issue year after year after year after year, and it's an issue every single year at the most important time of the year in the playoffs. And now here you are, 39 games into the season, and for basically almost 39 of them, like I would say probably 33 of 39, the frustration has been this power play doesn't do shit. I mean, your penalty kill is out of its mind. Lane Lambert and this penalty killing group, the defense on it, Mitch Marner on the penalty kill, David Kampf on the penalty kill, Lorentz, like those guys deserve every single piece of praise and more. Like, it has been a factor, a part of this team in this conversation throughout the year that has just kind of been like, hey, they did really well, move on. But they deserve their recognition. They've been amazing. The power play, on the other hand, unfortunately, has taken up a lot of the oxygen of the special teams conversation. I think deservingly so. I think the penalty kill deserves all that praise, and Lane Lambert deserves all that praise. But I mean, honestly, my thing is like, okay, even if you're not going to fire Marc Savard, like whatever, because like, again, and I would rather not be calling for somebody's job. But that being said, you've got a guy right now in that position who is doing absolutely nothing different than what you've seen before. He came from a power play that was atrocious in Calgary. I'm not entirely sure where this whole like idea was coming from that he was going to be able to fix it. I think most of it, unfortunately for him, comes from the players on the ice, because as I mentioned, they've been terrible in years past as well, and playoffs past as well. So it seems like anybody that goes through there isn't able to do it, but the power play has stunk. 5-on-5 offense hasn't been amazing, so it's not like we're like, okay, well, it's just the power play. Obviously, they're playing a more defensive style. Obviously, they're buying into that much more. And I love the fact that they are finding ways to win these tight playoff-style hockey games. But with that being said, your offense has dropped off and your power play has been pathetic. Even as I'm having this conversation, this power play, like, 10x worse than what we had last year. Because at least during the regular season, it was like, okay, the power play could get going, and then it would fall off at times, and then it would come back, and then it would fall off at times. Basically, the power play this year, any of the goals that we're seeing, is just like a one-off here or there. We're like, well, they scored on the power play tonight, but was it really because the power play was so good, or did something break down and they just happened to score on the power play? Power play has not been good. It's slow, it's predictable, it is boring, it is unsuccessful. So even if you're not going to do anything with Savard and you're not going to fire the guy or whatever, like, it might be time to go and look and see if there's somebody else that can run it, or find someone else to bring in here to help this out. I don't know. And also, I would much rather not be looking to go and find a defenseman to run this, because this is the first time I feel like in 10 plus years that I've looked at this Leafs team and not had the conversation of, wow, we need top result guys. We need, or top end guys to give results. Like Tanev, McCabe, Riley, Ekman Larson. You've got a good group there. Riley needs to produce much more. He needs to be generating. You need pieces around these guys. You need pieces to fill in and help out where need be. You don't need the big guy anymore. So you need to ask for much more of the guys who are already here with this team. Because you would rather have to go out and find like Luke Chens and like the Ron Haineses and those guys who play with Morgan Riley and fill in your bottom Edmondson, fill in those pairs. The guys that you have here right now should be able to figure it out. Unknown, I wish Riley played like Dion. Well, that's interesting. Jay Castro, Riley usually picks up his play in the playoffs, I noticed. That's fair. He has played well in the playoffs, so, I mean, I'll give him the credit for that. But Bobby Biggins, Jesus, y'all are living in the 05 Caberlet McCabe era. Yeah. Frustration. Okay. What else? Oh, on Tuesday's show, we hit 50 likes. I was in the Hockey Canada Fan Fest at the World Juniors, so I did not have smelling salts accessible, nor would it probably have been appropriate to be doing just sitting there in the open. We did hit the 50 likes, though, so kudos to you guys. We should be doing the smelling salts here tonight to make up for that. We are very close here again, so if we get to another 50, we'll do the smelling salts, but this is for Tuesday and for you guys hitting the like button, so thank you guys very much. Let's do it. There you go. John Gallagher. That sad sigh when he mentioned Dion. I like Dion. Dion got miscast. Dion got put into a position where it was like he got brought here and everyone thought he was the savior. He was the number one defenseman. He was never a number one defenseman. I think that was the problem. And then he had to live with the burden on his shoulders here in Toronto of being cast or viewed as the number one defenseman, of which he never was. And he add on to that, he was named the captain. So it was like every single thing that you could, every piece of pressure or point of pressure that you could feel from this fan base was just immediately applied to you. And it was like, hey man, you're young, you're like thrown into the fire here in Toronto, and you're not a number one. You weren't a number one, but you're gonna be the number one. And I think that kind of screwed him. I don't know. I also have a soft spot in my heart for Dion Phaneuf. He was like my favorite player. That was a period where I had just become a defenseman or was playing defense or something. And I was watching Phaneuf and I was like, man, I was watching all of his highlights when he was in Calgary. I was watching how physical he was. I was watching how he just kind of found himself like laying these massive highlight reel hits. And when we got him, I was like, wow, we got the guy. And then, I don't think that was, I don't think he was appropriately cast. And then kind of maybe similar to Morgan Riley, I think he was like, he's the number one. I don't think he's the number one. I think he's probably like, he could be, if he had a number one, he would be like the Shea Theodore to Cale Makar. But that's obviously, I'm not calling him Shea Theodore. I'm saying that could be the type of role that he plays. But that was about it. That was it. Okay. What else? Oh, I have one other thing here that was frustrating from tonight, but before I get to that, it's not just frustrating from tonight, but it's frustrating from the team and a guy on the team as a whole. Before I get there, you guys are slacking. That's all I could say. You're slacking because we've got the Nation Vacation in Music City coming up. It's not your average trip. From March 20th to 23rd, we're packing our jerseys, heading to Nashville to watch Toronto take on Nashville in their own bar. And we're talking hockey action, honky-tonk vibes, the kind of memories that only come when you roll deep with the Nation crew. If you got flight packages, if you'd prefer not to have a flight and you want to handle your own travel, we can do that too. Whatever works for you, just get yourself there because this is going to be electric. Spots are limited, so don't miss your chance to join the action. Book your trip now at nationgear.ca. That's nationgear.ca. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca and get yourself a ticket to join us in Nashville. It's not just about going to a game. It's a trip to Nashville from March 20th to 23rd. It is live shows in person. It is hanging out at Carter Hutton's bar, Love and Elixir. It's hanging out with Rosie and Nick, producer Vic, and you guys can find out and be proven that he is a real person. You've seen him on the show here now, but we could just be putting an AI character up on screen. Maybe you can come with us to Nashville and find out for real that producer Vic is legit. He is real, and you can see him in the flesh. Touch his hand, shake his hand, whatever it is that you need to do to prove to yourself that producer Vic is the real deal. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca and be joining us. Mike Fami brings up the price of it. Mike, fair enough. The thing I would point out with this is that it is flights, it is tickets to the game, it is transportation, it is hotels, and at the same time, it is also access to all the live shows and into the bar and everything like that we've got in Nashville. So even if you were to just search up opportunities to go to Nashville just separately, and then pay for tickets or whatever, it's like probably about the same, if not even more. And now with us, you're getting all of that included. Make sure to head on over to nationgear.ca. Joshua Disatel, hi Zach, and hi all. Hello. Unknown, you won't die drinking the water. What is Bobby Biggins? Brody was good before the Leafs. Yeah, he was. Oh, okay. Here's the other thing that I want to get to that was a little bit frustrating. Casey Cizikas, kind of buries Chris Tanev. Ultimately, I don't think it was like that dirty, but it's a big hit. Boarding, what I mean by that dirty is I don't think that he went out there with the intention of hurting Chris Tanev. I think it was a bad result. It was a bad hit. I think that he caught him, and at that point in time, 39 games into the season, we have yet to see number 75 fight. And I watched Cizikas make that hit. I saw Matthew Knies rush into the aid of Chris Tanev and be the first person to step up and give any kind of assistance. And I thought to myself, this is when Ryan Reeves needs to step up and do fucking something. Something. Anything. Get in somebody's face. Challenge someone to a fight. Say, hey, you've got to answer to that. Remember, Nick Foligno went and fought Corey Perry when he accidentally got John Tavares in the head. I don't think that was intentional. I don't think he meant to hurt him. But Nick Foligno said, that was our captain. You've got to answer for that. And Corey Perry said, okay. I like Ryan Reeves. I think, especially when he first got here, he served a very big purpose, mostly in the locker room. I think that he came here and he made the guys feel safe. He made them feel comfortable. He made them feel like they could maybe play a little bit bigger because he was going to go out there and challenge guys and respond and fight. Unknown says, don't think there was anyone on this team tonight that would fight Revo. No excuses, though. Ryan Reeves, unfortunately, I don't think he's a detriment, really, in his time on ice, but he is really doing nothing positive. He is not a guy who's creating offense. He's not on your penalty kill. He's not on the ice when you need a goal. He's not on the ice to stop a goal. I mean, look at Ryan Reeves' ice time here tonight. 5 minutes and 11 seconds. The only guy who played even close to that was Steven Lorentz, who played 6:30. Connor Dewar played 8:24. And a lot of that is because Dewar played basically a full 2 minutes at penalty kill. Lorentz played 27 seconds on your penalty kill. Ryan Reeves is taking up a roster spot to skate around, have 1 hit, 0 goals, 0 assists, no plus minus here tonight. 0 block shots, 0 penalties, 0 takeaways, 0 giveaways, 10 shifts, 5 minutes and 11 seconds off time on ice. I know an unknown saying like there's no one to go out there on the Islanders and fight. Cizikas isn't some skill guy that can't go. Obviously, he's not a heavyweight. But that's a perfect opportunity for Ryan Reeves to find the biggest guy on the other team, or just Cizikas on his own and say, we gotta go. Like, seriously, because you guys are all, like, this is the thing, right? I get you guys are pointing out, like, seriously, think about this. Think logically for a second here, especially those of you in the chat making this point right now. Think about this logically. He played 5 minutes and 11 seconds of time on ice. And everyone here in the chat is saying here right now, oh, there's no one to fight the fight on the Islanders. Matt Martin's not on there. Cal Clutterbuck's not on there. Then what the fuck is he doing in the lineup? He's out there for 5 minutes of cardio, making 0 positive impact on the game. He's not a detriment, but it's like, do you want a guy who's just filling time? Like, we want guys who are just out there. Like, Steven Lorentz can at least solve or have other purposes in his minutes and in his time. Like, seriously, think about that. You guys are giving him an excuse of, oh, there's nobody on the Islanders. Then why the fuck is he playing? If he's in your lineup so that he can go out there and defend guys and stick up for guys, yeah, I get it. And I like Reeves. Like, I liked that they brought him here. I liked the fact that he's here to help out and be a good guy in the locker room and a good guy on the bench and do all that stuff. And I think what he did when he first got here last year, despite some of the negative play that he was having, I think the physicality and the fighting was helpful. My point being, Jake McCabe, Chris Tanev, Benoit, Max Domi, Matthew Nyes, Max Pacioretty even. Those are guys that can go. Those are guys that can fight. I hate saying it because I like him. But it's just, and like the other thing that I want to point out is like, I don't think he played bad. Like, I don't think he's, like, killing the team being out there. Like, I'm not, like, screaming and yelling like a Justin Hall situation. I just can't understand the need to take up a roster spot for the guy when maybe you could have someone who fills another purpose. I don't mind, like, that, like, okay, you're maybe against the Rangers and Matt Rempe, you know? Okay, against Columbus and Matthew Oliver. Sure, there's other teams that have those guys, but even then when we played them, he hasn't gone. Dallas, they've got guys. Hasn't fought. Jack-Eye on the Habs. Wouldn't fight. That's kind of where I'm like, what is he doing out here? That was the only other negative thing I had. It's not even I'm not even trying to do it as a knock to Ryan Reeves. I don't know if there's something going on, if he's hurt. I don't know if the coaching staff has asked him to not fight. I don't know if the trainers have asked him not to fight. I don't know, like, at all. But he just seems to have no interest in it. And it's like, that kind of seems like his sole purpose. And then the other thing is, okay, if he's not fighting willy-nilly, then he must be here to fight in certain situations. You know, when someone gets hit from behind, and then he doesn't. So I don't know. That's the thing where I'm just confused with it. I thought tonight was a night to do it. I thought tonight was the night to step up, and he didn't. I was kind of shocked, honestly, but then at the end, like, thinking back, I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's get out of here with our last couple of things of the night. Let's first and foremost go to our play of the game. Let's do that. Let's do our play of the game. Okay. AI chat summary. Viewers are discussing lineup changes for tonight's game against the New York Islanders. They are concerned. Oh, it disappeared. They are concerned about the lack of depth on the bottom end of the roster and who should replace Reeves in the lineup. I think the AI chat summary is getting better here. That's pretty dialed in. Not bad. That said, the one thing I would caution, though, is one thing I would caution with, like, okay, taking Reeves out is who's the guy to fill in the spot. You've got to find someone else that's not Minton and not Gurbenkin. The more I've thought about this, the more I've talked to people, I think those kids are getting a ton of experience in the Marlies right now, dominating. And you're only 40 games in. You could bring them up in 20. If they're really, really dummying the AHL and they're lighting it up to the point of, like, we're too good for here. One, both of them, whatever. You could bring somebody up. Gurbenkin and Holmberg, I think if you bring them up too early and you don't have, like, a definitive role for them or minutes to play, or they don't have, like, some type of, you know, something you need, like, oh yeah, this is, you've got to be on the power play or the penalty kill or whatever. It could hurt confidence. It could just kind of kill development, whatever. I'm fine with letting them kind of go in there and maybe find someone else. 6 1/3. Who's got your panties in a bunch tonight? Like, you wake up with piss in your Cheerios this morning? What the hell is going on? Why are you all upset today? Tell me how to do the show. Relax. Calm down. You played an intro, for fuck's sakes. Relax, man. Relax. We're talking about the Leafs. It's all good. We're talking about everything going on. Don't need to be salty. Come on. We're okay. It's all good. My man got lost in a tangent. Yeah. I did. My bad. You guys in the chat are going. I'm reading stuff. I'm answering questions. Play of the game is the Bobby McMahon first goal. Bobby McMahon has been a guy who has really, really, really stepped up and elevated his game since, think back to the journey he's been on this season. Game 1 of the season, he was scratched. He was healthy scratched. Gets put back in. Gets an opportunity with some top 6 guys. Gets bounced around. He's in the top 6. He goes back down. He's on the third line. Has, shifts. in and around with anybody and everybody. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden he starts to get something going with this line. And then someone gets hurt and they get moved around. And then he's playing with Tavares and he's get something going there. And then he's playing with Matt Nylander. And then, nope. And he's back out. And then he's hurt. And he's out of the lineup. And I was saying, shit, Bobby McMann was just starting to get things rolling. And I thought he had a really good season last year as well. Gets hurt. I hope this guy comes back and is ready to go when he comes back to this lineup. He jumps back in, and he was rocking from day one. It has basically been like lighting a fire under Bobby McMahon's ass and seeing what he could do every single night. Gets on the board here yet again. I think that's 12 goals on the season now for Bobby McMahon. Like, on pace, 20... I guess based on the season extrapolated, he's on pace for 24, 20 plus at bare minimum here. If you take the games that he was out, he's on pace for almost 30 just based on the games that he missed and how many he's actually played. The guy's been unbelievable. That was a great read by him coming into the zone, a great pass by Nick Robertson across to him as he comes in, and then a great shot by Bobby McMahon to finish it all off. Then obviously the goal that he scores to win the game winner there. Just I also want to give a shout out to OEL for actually just shooting the puck. We watch so many times these guys up top, whether it is the top of the umbrella, it's the defenseman quarterbacking the power play. They're just looking through and they just refuse to put the puck through to the net. It's got to be a pass to Nylander, pass to Marner, pass to whoever, Robertson at the side. No. Shoot the puck. Good things will happen. You've got a bunch of guys crashing in front of the net. Pacioretty's standing there with his ass in the goalie's eyes. The rebound pops out off the side. It hits the end wall, but it pops to the side, and it's Bobby McMahon crashing in to bury that thing into the empty net. He's been exceptional, and he deserves all the credit in the world. So kudos to Bobby McMahon. That is my play of the game. First goal for him. I also want to give an honorable mention to Joseph Woll for pretty much the entire night. And how he played here tonight. If you are watching and you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We are 7 likes away from another Smelling Salts here on the stream. On top of that, we're still trying to get to 15,000 subscribers on this channel. Let's get to 15K. If you're watching and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching it back after the fact, you're not watching it live, you can still subscribe while you're watching. If you're watching on your TV, your phone, your iPad, your computer, there's a subscribe button. It's right there. It's easy for you to click. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 15,000 subscribe. Okay. Let's now get to our best bet from tonight. Our best bet segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Leafs Nation pregame and Leafs Nation after dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, all caps. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Okay, tonight's best bet, unfortunately, did not go that well for us. Not going to lie, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking at this one from the Leafs are not going to give up that many shots. The Leafs are going to play really well defensively. The Leafs are going to shut things down, and their pairing of McCabe and Tanev that's going to go up against Mat Barzal is going to find ways to keep him off the board and prevent him from getting opportunities. And, well, that just didn't happen. Mat Barzal under 2.5 shots on goal, plus 110 was the best bet here tonight. He finishes with 4 shots on goal. Going into this one, we just had a mathematical edge. I think the team was going to. I thought the team was going to push themselves in a direction to be much more defensively sound and defensively focused, and it ultimately doesn't happen here tonight. It's Joseph Woll who is the star of the game. 33 shots for the New York Islanders. They started, I thought this Leafs team was going to shut things down and just not allow them to get anything. It just wasn't the case. 4 shots on goal. Second most, as I'm looking right now, on the Islanders. 7 for Bo Horvat. No one else on the Islanders got over 2 shots on goal, by the way. 7 for Horvat, 4 for Mat Barzal. You know, you look through the rest of the lineup. Oh, sorry, Adam Pelech had 4 there as well. But outside of that, 6 and a third. Weird bet, Zach. You're really some. You okay? Are we okay? 6 and a third. Come on. I don't know. It's something we've got a little bit of an edge on. There's reason behind this one. The Islanders don't generate too much offensively, so thought that would be a decent look for this one, and ultimately it does not cash for us. Sorry, guys. We tried. That is now 3 in a row. No, that is now 5 in a row that we've lost, coming off the heels of a Robertson anytime goal that doesn't cash. Tavares over 3.5 shots on goal, got 0. Nylander anytime goal plus 150. Nice power play point. Can't rely on this power play. They just can't do anything for us here. So the power play is sent to the shadow realm. They are banned forever. And outside of that, we'll figure it out. We'll get back. That brings us back down to -1 unit on the season. HK Chinese Canadian, Zach, what is your take on the game tonight? Well, we're 52 minutes into the show, so been going at it for 52 minutes, HK. Diz K, last thing before we get to our grade. Okay. Ready to get spicy? Let's do this first. We got 50 likes. Let's get it to 100. Why not? But smelling salts for 50 likes. Thank you, guys. Now we're going to get one spicy take. Then we'll go grades. We'll get out of here. Oh. Ooh. Diz K. Time to stir the pot. After watching Cowan at the World Junior Championships, have your thoughts changed in terms of trading him? My thoughts did not change, but that is because my thoughts ahead of time on Easton Cowan was that you always need to be willing to listen. Us here in Toronto as a fan base seem to have built up this emotional attachment to players for some unknown reason. It's like we've gotten ourselves to this point where anybody and everybody we drafted will always be the greatest player to ever be drafted. And if we trade them, we will be screwed forever. Easton Cowan is not an untouchable. Easton Cowan is a piece that could be traded. I think he just had a really tough World Juniors. I think he had back-to-back tough World Juniors. I think he's got a lot to learn. I think he's got a lot of maturity, that growth in terms of his maturity that he needs to have happen here over the next little while. I think he needs to learn to be a professional. I heard Nick say it on the sheet with Jeff Merrick earlier today, and I think that it actually rings very true, is he's a guy who could have benefited a lot from playing at a level higher than the OHL this season, and he's not a guy who was going to be... He's not a guy who should be in the NHL, but he's a guy who probably should not be in the OHL. And obviously, if you listen to Jeff and Nick earlier today, I mean, Jeff said that he thinks that if the NCAA rule had been earlier, he probably would have ended up in the NCAA just because there's older players, more mature players, more bigger, more physical players. The other kind of way to look at it would be to throw it into the AHL, and then he gets to develop there. My whole point of this is to say, I'm not coming on here and saying you need to trade Easton Cowan. He could still very much be a very good player. My entire position on this is we need to drop as a fan base the emotional attachment we get to picks and prospects who are just kind of around the team or maybe have good junior seasons, because another guy that this happened with, by the way, is Nick Robertson. Had an incredible OHL year, scored a ton of goals, put up a ton of points, and suddenly in the eyes of Maple Leafs fans, he was an untradeable. Sure thing, top 6, first liner, is going to score 60 goals every year in the NHL. He's finally getting himself to a point here now where he's a third line winger on this team. Yet to be proven if he can hold on to it for a long period of time. I'm glad that he's figuring it out here now. My whole point, though, to kind of close off this conversation, guys, is the team is not in win 3 or 4 years from now. And Easton Cowan might not help you win until, 3 or 4 years from now. It's entirely possible. If you're going to get a piece that you could get right now, maybe he's got a couple of years. Maybe they've got a little bit of term. Maybe they're a guy that can fit into your third line or could fit on the second line wing, whatever it might be. That improves your depth. That fixes the power play. Maybe it's not a guy who does all of these things, but it's guys who've come in here and really, really overhaul or solve an issue that you have. If that is available and it's not an overpay and the trade makes sense, stop with the emotional attachment and we can never get rid of these guys. And then the other thing that I would kind of just point to is Rasmus Sandin. The fan base said we can never trade him. The defense is the best that we've seen it. He's not here. I know that he's doing well with Washington and that team is doing well. We were able to fill in other spots and other roles that we needed. Timothy Liljegren. That was a guy we could never trade. It's been okay. I think that people are very much overreacting on Easton Cowan and the juniors that he's had. I'm not in a trade this guy. He's a bust. But all I'm at is if he's got to go, he's got to go. If there's another piece that helps you win, he's got to go. All right. Grade of the game for me here tonight is going to be a... what do I even want to give this one? Grade of the game is going to be a B-. B- is the grade. I don't think this is the greatest game, but you out-hit them. You won more faceoffs than they did. They generated more chances than you. In terms of expected goals, they got a couple more shots on goal than you. You went 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. You did go 1 for 2 on the power play. I don't think you really deserved to go 1 for 2 on the power play, but thank God for Bobby McMahon, who found the back of the net there. If it's not for him, then it's an 0 for 2 night on the power play, and is a power play that did not look that great until that goal was scored. And outside of that, I mean, this was just kind of a sloppy, gross game. Obviously, you come back from New Year's, and it is what it is. Like, maybe that's, guys are hungover, you didn't practice, whatever. You're also kind of coming off what was the holiday break there into a couple of games. Then you have another break. It's a weird period of time. But you won. It was greasy. You found a way to get it done. Your goalie was amazing. Your penalty kill is great again. Power play, not so much. This is an okay game. Could have been a lot better. B- is the grade for me. Didn't produce a lot. You won the game, though. Kudos to them. That's going to be it for the post-game show here tonight. This being game number 39 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the New York Islanders here tonight. 2-1, back-to-back wins against the New York Islanders, moving to 24-13-2 on the season. Thank you so much to everyone who watched, liked, subscribed, to the Super Chats. I will be back Saturday night following the game against the Boston Bruins. See who we can get on here to come on and maybe do a little post-game show with us on Saturday night. Leafs Bruins, like that's a big one. Maybe we get Gord on here. Maybe we can get Nick or Rosie or somebody like that to hop on here with us as well. But that is all for me here tonight. We do appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here. Leafs Morning Take back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with Nick. I think Rosie's on tomorrow. I think. Not entirely sure. But subscribe here to the channel to make sure you don't miss it. Until I'm back on Saturday, that's all for me. Game 39. Leafs on this one. 2-1. Move to 24-13-2 on the season. See you all Saturday. Keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.